Peace, good afternoon, and I'd like to welcome you back into the Foul Playland. As always, I'm your Foul Player. Wanted to make this video of a reported fight that's coming down the pipe between Jeison Rosario and Jermell Charlo. As many of you may know, um, Jeison Rosario won the WBA title in the beginning of this year against Julian J. Rock Williams. A lot of people were surprised by that, um, including myself. J Rock had won the belt from Hurd, I think one fight before that, and he sort of demolished Hurd in that fight. Um, when he lost to, I mean, when he beat Hurd, I thought that him fighting Rosario next, a fighter who's sort of similar to Hurd in the sense that he just barrels forward, um, that he would do really well against him, and the opposite happened. He got tagged early on, like in a brutal fashion, and Jeison Rosario went on to kind of destroy Julian J Rock in even worse fashion than what he did to Hurd. But having said all that, Jeison Rosario, a very rare fighter out of the Dominican Republic, comes out with the belt. Immediately after that, like a lot of feelers were put out there, and it seemed like he didn't want to fight Jermell Charlo to unify the two belts. But I think PBC did the wise move in making them fight, and that's gonna be a good fight. I mean, I don't know much about like the character of Jeison Rosario. I mean, I grew up around Dominican cats my whole life, but as a country, like their characters, like maybe we'll see some of that flair when it comes to the buildup of this fight. Charlo, I mean, he seems to garner like reactions from boxing fans, from all specters. He's sort of a character, shows out a little bit of a prick, but in spite of all that, I mean, like that's all like outside stuff. Like as a fight, this is like one of the best fights, top five fights that could be made in boxing. I would even go as high as top three fight that I wanted in boxing. Being that Jermall Charlo ain't trying to fight nobody, you know, seemingly turned down a Canelo deal, definitely turned down an Andrade deal. It's good that his little brother um, assumes the reins for him. Like, I thought that both of the Charlos were being ducked, and at one point they were. But Jermall Charlo just started fronting this past like year or two, and he's kind of lost it with me. Honestly, like a lot of people don't agree with me, but Jermell Charlo I always thought was a little bit more talented than Jermall Charlo. When he's not trying to put everything into every shot, I think Jermall Charlo is the niftier of the Charlo brothers, and they both have almost equal power in my eyes for their respective divisions. But as far as this fight goes, it's tough to call because Jeison Rosario doesn't seem like he's a 154 pounder. He's a really big guy. He might be 5'11" or 6 feet, but one thing that people don't factor with Jeison Rosario is his reach. His reach is not that great. I think he has a 70-inch reach. Um, don't quote me on that though. But his reach, I think, dictates the way he fights, in that he gotta like sort of take a shot, gotta fight from the inside, even though he's a bigger guy. Um, I don't know if weight draining weight draining like to me like or being fighting under the weight that I think you should be fighting creeps up on a fighter at any time, and I don't know, maybe it's a factor in this fight, maybe it's not. But this is gonna be a banging fight. Charlo has a little bit of trouble with people smothering him. Um, and if I think the Harrison fight with Charlo was an anomaly. I think, especially the first fight, he was trying to he was trying to knock Harrison's head off with every shot. Um, and in the second fight, he still had trouble with Harrison, um, having to follow him around and whatnot. Wasn't a good recipe for Charlo, even though he did come out with that victory. Uh, with Jeison Rosario, you don't get that same element of evasiveness or moving around the ring like a Harrison does. Jeison Rosario is more of a come forward and take what you have to give me, but eat what I'm gonna give you, in hopes of like detaching his opposition. It's hard to call who I would pick to win this fight right now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeison Rosario did win, especially if he doesn't have trouble making the weight. But Jermell Charlo has the skills and he has the power. I just hope he doesn't get into a brawl with a Jeison Rosario, because in that case, Jeison Rosario could knock his head off. I mean, point blank. You don't see a lot of fights in which Jermell Charlo has been legitimately hurt, and this could be one of them if he gets into Jeison Rosario's kind of fight. Having said all that, I mean, I did want Jermell Charlo to give Tony Harrison a rematch. You know, being that Harrison beat him the first time on paper, whether you think so or not, that fight was at the very least a tie. I mean, I gave it to Charlo that fight, but I saw the decision. I could see why the judges gave Harrison the decision, and that wasn't a split decision. I think that was a unanimous decision going towards Harrison in that fight. So I thought with the whole Gatorade conspiracy that Jermell Charlo supposedly utilized against Jeison Rosario, that he should have given the rematch. And a lot of, if you want to make comparisons between Glovegate with Tyson Fury and the Deontay Wilder and Gatorade Gate with Jermell Charlo, Tony Harrison, I think comparisons could be made, but a lot of people have a lot more rancor like towards Fury and want him to give Wilder the that fight again, even though it's bound to happen anyway. But aren't really calling for justice for Harrison. And in Harrison's case, Harrison's team called out the whole Gatorade bottle like 2 weeks or a week after the fight. They noticed it and they started making a stink about it. Nobody, um, and this was done by Harrison's coach. I think Harrison himself registered some complaints, but with Wilder's complaints about the glove gate, I don't even know if Wilder's made a complaint on his own. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure like he's done so behind the scenes, but a lot of the people that are speaking out for Wilder aren't his coach or Wilder himself. So, I thought a rematch was in order in that case. Didn't happen, but we're getting a better match as far as Rosario and Jermell. If I had to pick right now, I'm gonna go with Jermell like via decision. But who knows? I mean, like it's gonna be a good one. But let me know what you guys think. I'm glad this fight is happening. I've been really down on PBC as far as their matchmaking goes. If this fight is on pay-per-view, I'm gonna go right back to boycotting PBC straight up. This fight is not a pay-per-view fight, in because neither one of them, I mean, like did the best as far as making themselves marquee, like sellable names. But another thing I thought about too is that if Jermell Charlo is to come out the victor in this fight, what he should do is to call out Gennady Golovkin and or Canelo immediately after that. I think he should say, this is my last fight at 154. I'm out unless he fights Harrison again, which I don't think he will. But I think he should make his announcement of moving up to 160 in hopes of getting Jamal of getting Canelo or Triple G to fight him upon his arrival at 160. Well, let me know what you guys think. With that, I'm out. Thank you for stepping into the foul playland. Peace.